A very good morning to you all. I'd like to present a creation moment this morning entitled God's Ordinances or Laws, which really govern the function of the entire universe and their very existence. So we start with a opening scripture which is found in Psalm 19 verse 7, which says, "The law of the Lord is perfect, converting the soul. The testimony of the Lord is sure, making wise the simple." We start with the definition. We define an ordinance as an authoritative rule, law or decree, most commonly a local law enacted by a city or town government, but it can also describe a religious ceremony or rite. But consider God's laws. The laws of nature are perfectly consistent with biblical creation and pose a serious problem for naturalism, which is a core foundation of evolutionary theory. Everything in the universe, every plant and animal, every rock, every particle of matter or light wave is bound by laws which it has no choice but to obey. The Bible tells us that there are laws of nature, ordinances of heaven and earth, which is found in Jeremiah 33:25. These laws describe the way God normally accomplishes his will in the universe. God's logic is built into the universe, and so the universe is not haphazard or arbitrary. It obeys laws derived from other laws of physics and laws of mathematics. The most fundamental laws of nature exist only because God wills them to. They are the logical, orderly way the Lord upholds and sustains the universe he has created. The atheist is unable to account for the logical, orderly state of the universe. Why should the universe obey laws if there is no lawgiver? But laws of nature are perfectly consistent with biblical creation. In fact, the Bible is the foundation for natural laws. So, of course, creationists do not deny these laws. Laws of nature are exactly what a creationist would expect. So let's briefly describe some of these critical laws. There is one well-known law of life, the law of biogenesis. This law states simply that life comes from life, always comes from life. This is what observational science tells us. Organisms reproduce other organisms after their own kind. Historically, Louis Pasteur disproved one form of spontaneous generation. He showed that life comes from previous life. Since then, we have seen that this law is universal, with no known exceptions. This is, of course, exactly what we would expect from the Bible. According to Genesis 1, God supernaturally created the first diverse kinds of life on earth and made them to reproduce after their kind. Notice that the molecules to man evolution violates the law of biogenesis. Evolutionists believe that life, at least once, spontaneously formed from non-living chemicals. But this is inconsistent with the law of biogenesis. Real science confirms the Bible. The laws of chemistry. Life requires a specific chemistry. Our bodies are powered by chemical reactions and depend on the laws of chemistry operating in a uniform fashion. Every living being has information stored on a long molecule called DNA. Life as we know it would not be possible if the laws of chemistry were different. God created the laws of chemistry in just the right way so that life would be possible. The laws of physics. The field of physics describes the behaviour of the universe at its most fundamental level. There are many different laws of physics. They describe the way in which the universe operates today. There are laws of physics that describe how light propagates, how energy is transported, how gravity operates, how mass moves through space, and many other phenomena. The laws of physics are usually mathematical in nature. Some laws of physics can be described with a concise formula, such as E equals mc squared. The laws of mathematics, as previously described, notice that the laws of physics are highly mathematical in nature. They would not work if there were no laws of mathematics. Mathematical laws and principles includes the rules of addition, the commutative properties of addition and multiplication, the binomial theorem, and many others. Like the laws of physics, some laws and properties of mathematics can be derived from other mathematical principles, but unlike the laws of physics, the laws of mathematics are abstract. They are not attached to any part of the universe. And one final one, the laws of logic. All the laws of nature, from physics and chemistry to the law of biogenesis, depend on the laws of logic. Like mathematics, the laws of logic are transcendent truths. One cannot imagine that the laws of logic could be anything different than what they are. The atheist cannot account for the laws of logic, even though he or she must accept that they exist in order to do any rational thinking. But according to the Bible, God is logical. Indeed, the law of non-contradiction is reflective of God's nature. God cannot lie or be tempted with evil, since these things contradict his perfect nature. Since we have been made in God's image, we instinctively know the laws of logic. We are able to reason logically, though because of finite minds and sin, we don't always think entirely logically. So we see that the laws of nature depend on other laws of nature, which ultimately depend on God's will. Thus, God created the laws of physics in just the right way so that the laws of chemistry would be correct, so that life can exist. It is doubtful, probably impossible, that any human would have been able to solve such a complex puzzle, yet God has done so. And so concluding, the atheist cannot account for these laws of nature, even though he agrees that they must exist, for such laws are inconsistent with naturalism, yet they are perfectly consistent with the Bible. We expect the universe to be organised in a logical, orderly fashion and to obey uniform laws, because the universe was created by the power of God, who is stated concerning his Son in Colossians 1:16a, for by him were all things created, in verse 17b, and by him all things consist. Thank you for listening.